the inspiring story of Colonel Sanders. From failure to success. In a small town in Indiana, Harland David Sanders was born in 1890. His early life was far from easy. His father died when he was just 5 years old, leaving his mother alone to take care of him and his younger siblings. With no one to support them, his mother worked long hours to feed the family. Young Harland had to grow up quickly. By the age of 7, he had already learned how to cook simple meals because his mother was too busy working. But his struggles didn't end there. As he grew older, life didn't become easier. Harland dropped out of school in 7th grade because he had to work to support his family. He did all kinds of jobs. He worked as a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, a railroad worker, and even a soldier in the U.S. Army. But nothing lasted long. Every time he tried to settle into a job, something went wrong. At one point, he got a job as a fireman, but he lost it. Then he studied law, but after a fight with a client, his career as a lawyer ended. For years, he struggled. He was fired from multiple jobs and failed at several businesses. It seemed like life kept knocking him down, but he never gave up. Finally, in the 1930s, Sanders found something he was truly good at: cooking. He opened a small restaurant at a gas station in Kentucky, where he cooked meals for travelers. He had no big restaurant, just a small table for customers to sit and eat. His special recipe for fried chicken became popular, and soon people from nearby towns came just to taste it. Everything was going well. Sanders finally found success after years of failure. But life had another challenge waiting for him. In the 1950s, the U.S. government built a new highway that bypassed his small town. This meant fewer travelers stopped by his restaurant. His business collapsed, and at the age of 65, Sanders lost everything. Imagine this: you work your whole life, struggling, failing, and finally building something successful, only to lose it all at the age when most people retire. Many would have given up at this point. But not Colonel Sanders. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, he decided to try again. With little money in his pocket, Sanders traveled across America, going from one restaurant to another. He carried his special fried chicken recipe and asked restaurant owners if they wanted to use it in exchange for a small percentage of sales. But nobody believed in him. One restaurant owner after another said, "No." Some laughed at him. Others told him he was too old to start something new. Most people would have stopped after a few rejections. But Colonel Sanders was different. He didn't stop after 10 rejections. He didn't stop after 100 rejections. In total, he was rejected 1,009 times. Can you imagine failing 1,009 times? Most people would have given up after 10, 20, or even 100 failures. But Sanders kept going because he believed in his recipe. Finally, one restaurant owner in Utah agreed to try his recipe. The customers loved it. Soon, word spread, and more restaurants wanted to use his Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. At the age of 65, when most people retire, Colonel Sanders started his greatest journey. Within a few years, his business exploded. By the time he was 73, KFC had 600 restaurants across the U.S. Soon after, Sanders sold the company for $2 million, about $17 million today, but remained the face of KFC. Even after selling, he continued working and promoting the brand. Today, KFC has over 24,000 restaurants in 150-plus countries, all because an old man refused to give up on his dream. Lessons from his story. It's never too late. Sanders became successful at 65. You're never too old to start over. Rejection is not the end. He was rejected 1,009 times, but he kept going. Believe in yourself. No one else will believe in you if you don't believe in yourself first. Failure is part of success. Every great success story begins with failure. Life will knock you down, but the real question is, will you get back up? If Colonel Sanders could build a global empire at 65, imagine what you can do if you refuse to give up. Your success story is waiting. Keep going, on fire.